I just saw Alien Covenant last night. It's been 5 years since Prometheus, and we finally get a continuation of the story that Ridley Scott originally set up in the 2012 film. Kind of. 10 years after the events of Prometheus, a new ship holding 2,000 colonists heads out to a planet, but on the way there, they hear a distress signal just like the first film, and they decide to go check it out because that always works out. While they're on the planet, they run into the lone survivor of the Prometheus, David, and they learn about the aliens and the mythology and what David's true intentions are. I really like that this movie continued the story that was set up in Prometheus because a lot of the stuff that we liked involved David, and that's what this movie's main focus is. However, there is a lot of detours in this movie, and we don't focus entirely on the story of Prometheus. If they're turning this into a trilogy or a quadrilogy or how many movies he wants to make, it kind of sucks that we went from opening up all these fascinating ideas in Prometheus and then in this movie focusing on just kind of one of them and then turning the rest of it into a typical monster movie. I'm not saying the monster stuff is bad, I just think that it was obviously pushed in there to please a certain part of the audience because I, for one, wanted to see the story of Prometheus. I want to see all these big ideas and everything, but, you know, we also need aliens because this is an alien movie, I suppose. I mean, it's even called Alien this time around. This movie is kind of more like Blade Runner 2 because the androids have a lot of conversations with one another, you know, about their humanity and what it is to love and such. I really like that stuff actually though because I think it worked really effectively, especially when it's Michael Fassbender doing it. As for the characters, yes, Michael Fassbender's back. He plays David, he also plays another character named Walter, and it's just really fun to see him kind of just play against himself. He is the best part of this movie, just like Prometheus, and I was really glad that for the story they focused mostly on David. As for the rest of the characters, yeah, they're just kind of there. I liked the acting overall, especially from the captain. I really liked whoever they hired to be the captain. I wish I had his name right now, I'll put it right there, I guess. But I liked him. I really liked Danny McBride. I mean, I think most people are going to be talking about him because, you know, he's a comedy actor, and here he is in a horror sci-fi film. What I didn't like, though, was that when there were character deaths, especially in the beginning, it seems that the characters are only impacted for that 5 minutes. Like, we gotta throw in our 5 minutes of sadness and then, okay, move on with the movie because we can't focus on that too much. It just felt really rushed and sort of not realistic at all. It lost a lot of humanity. Also, the first character to die was played by an actor who is so prominent that it just sticks out like a sore thumb, and I don't quite know why they had that actor play him. It was very strange. Guy Pearce is also back from Prometheus in the beginning scene. This beginning scene is absolutely pointless. If you've seen Prometheus, the beginning scene is absolutely not needed. You already know everything that was said. It was nice to see Guy Pearce not as an old man because originally he was in deleted scenes in Prometheus, but then when they were cut out, he was just in the movie covered in makeup, and it was really odd. But this time around, he shows up, he's his young self, and maybe they're just making up for that. I don't know, that's probably what they're doing. I hate to be this guy because I hate when people complain about this, but the CG in this movie wasn't that great. I know that the first 3 movies were all done by puppetry and different kind of costumes, and then the 4th movie was definitely CG, but this time around, it just really sticks out. And it might have to do more with just how the alien moves. It's either he moves too quickly or just too... There's something about this alien. There's something about the way it moves that doesn't feel like the rest of the series. The film was shot well enough, but it definitely doesn't look as good as Prometheus. Prometheus was such a beautiful film, and this time around it's going for a more gritty look. It just wasn't as beautiful. I can't explain it exactly, but it just didn't look as beautiful as Prometheus did. I really like the score in this movie. There's a lot of callbacks to Prometheus and to the original Alien. There are times where you actually are allowed to hear the score play through beautifully, so I did like the score a lot. That was probably one of the better aspects of the movie. Whereas Prometheus had a problem with too much plot, with too many things going on all at once, this movie almost has not enough going on. You know, because they show David, and they show all the things he had been doing in the last 10 years, and you kind of wonder to yourself, couldn't have that been its own movie? Probably. You could have had Prometheus be the beginning, have the second one be David being this mad scientist person, and then have the final one be either David winning or losing against these colonists. However, I don't know exactly what part of the plan changed after Prometheus came out, because there was a lot of negative fan reaction, and it seems like this movie's trying to make up for that, but in the process, it just kind of creates what feels like a boring movie, especially the third act. The third act is really, to me, extremely boring. They try to get these moments of suspense, and they try to make a great twist at the ending, but there's a problem because earlier in a couple scenes, they ruin it. This is gonna be a spoiler, just right away, this is a spoiler, but basically, Walter and David, they're fighting, they're the same robot, and he switches places. David takes Walter's spot. David ends up getting on the ship instead of Walter, and then he ends up taking over the colony. But the only problem is, this twist doesn't work well because earlier, in a couple scenes earlier, we just saw him smile when he saw the alien come alive on the ship. He had a little smile. And that just ruined it because you already know then that he's not Walter, that he's David. In the end, it's worth seeing this movie just for the Michael Fassbender stuff. Other than that, I can't really recommend this movie to anyone who's a non-Alien fan. There was just too many plot contrivances, not enough interesting characters, but the story continues what I liked from Prometheus to a certain point. The first two acts are pretty solid. While it's not suspenseful or thrilling or really even scary, there is something interesting at least going on once the David character shows up. We can't do this thing in Hollywood anymore where we just listen to fans after a movie is only a couple years old. Prometheus is only 5 years old. We haven't even given it the chance to age yet. And already Ridley Scott has written it off and decided, you know what, no, you're right. I'm going to throw aliens into the next movie, but I still want to continue my story that I set up in Prometheus. This movie was just sort of meh. I'll give it a 6 out of 10, and that's a really on the edge 6 out of 10. It's closer to a 5 out of 10, but to me, I enjoyed some of the aspects enough for me to probably end up watching it again, especially when the sequel comes out.